Vinita Bali, the CEO of Britannia Industries, is now joining us, and we've been saying this all day long, that at a time when we keep complaining about which is true, the discrimination that girls, children and women face in India, isn't it great that we have people like Vinita and others who've risen to the very top of corporate India? So Vinita, thank you so much for joining us. Voltas, Cadbury, you've gone all the way up the corporate ladder. Is it easy to do that in India, for a woman to go through all those glass ceilings? And in some ways, is it easier in India than it is even in a country like the US?
You know, it's, I think, 2 or 3 things. First of all, there is a glass ceiling, so let's not fool ourselves. And the numbers very clearly show the glass ceiling exists not just in India, but elsewhere as well. You know, I've been fortunate in the sense that I've worked in 6 different countries on 5 continents in companies like Cadbury Schweppes, the Coca-Cola company, and more recently Britannia. There is a glass ceiling that exists, and I think we need to recognize that. But more important than that is how things are changing. You know, the glass ceiling will only change when the debate on gender gives way to the debate on competency. When more and more girls come into the corporate world, and I must say the corporate world is actually quite lucky, but even the best of best in the corporate world have a gender skew which is certainly not representative of the normal population. So there is a long way we have to go. It starts with where this program is, which is education, equal opportunities, equity, encouragement, and I think all of those things put together is what will change the face not just of corporate India, but more importantly India, because you know corporate India is a very small microcosm of the overall world we live in.
Wow, well, I have to ask you, ma'am, sorry, you're talking to Priyanka, and I just wanted to ask you, you know, being such a successful woman in the corporate world, you're an example to so many other women out there who lack the opportunity or don't have the ability to think of themselves to reach where you have. And because you're such an example, I want to ask you, was it hard for you ever going up the corporate ladder, treated like, oh, you know, जैसे mentality होती है लोगों की you know, madam की बात सुननी पड़ेगी, lady की बात सुननी पड़ेगी. Did you ever have that sort of discrimination in the corporate field?
You know, frankly, Priyanka, I never thought about it. I didn't want to distract myself. For me, what was important was having conviction, having the support of a lot of people. And I think you yourself said that, and several of the other people who've come on this program have said, you know, we need the larger ecosystem. I think we need Renaissance fathers, we need Renaissance managers, we need people who believe in women. Right. You know, and I think given the inherent competency of women, you know, women will be successful, they will flourish. But I think the ecosystem has to be supportive. And the ecosystem is not just what we see in the office or, you know, or in sort of the corporate world. The ecosystem is our families, our schools, you know, the extended community and society at large. You know, how much encouragement is being given to little girls as well as little boys. I think all of those things, you know, the parents have to realize, the father has to realize what it means to invest in the girl child as much as investing in the boy.
So can I just ask you a somewhat related question to that, which is some place where you have done a lot of work also, is in the question of malnutrition. Because if you take a look at the girl child, the statistics are actually quite frightening. Something like 53% of them between the ages of 0 to 5 malnourished. And in area after area in many regions of the country, girl children are almost deliberately malnourished. The boys are given enough food.
So that they would die.
Yeah, they're starved that they would die. That's in the worst case, so they actually starve to death. And in other cases, they certainly aren't given the same nutrition that their brothers would be given. How do you get around this problem? Because this, frankly, goes a major way in understanding the extent of infanticide that is taking place, especially female infanticide.
Yeah, I think Vikram, you've raised a very profound issue, and this is something that we all need to learn and understand. You know, to my mind, it's actually, you know, a simplistic way of saying that is that if we want healthy boys and healthy men in India, we have to have healthy girls and healthy women. the adolescent girl is actually in a very, very depraved position. It starts at birth, and compared with a lot of other countries, I also happen to be on the UN Sun Initiative, where we've got a lead group where we work with a number of different countries. A big difference in India compared with a lot of other developing countries or emerging economies is the social issues surrounding the birth of a girl child. I think the people who need to be educated the most, and I do believe here the corporate world can make a significant difference as well by educating their workforce, by educating the workers in the factories on the importance that is to be given to the girl child, to their wives, to their sisters, to their mothers, because only healthy women can produce a healthy nation. And I think the discrimination that we see in India is absolutely astounding, and a lot of it has to do with our cultural and social factors, lack of awareness, lack of consciousness. And that education has to start not just with the 5-year-old girl that we're talking about, with the parents of the girl, with the grandparents of that girl. Only then will we raise a collective consciousness that will be able to change what we want to change in India. So, it's not just about government's responsibility or corporate responsibility. I think we have to start thinking in terms of, individual social responsibility.
Absolutely. Vinita ma'am, I agree with you so much, and Anushka, I'd like your opinion on this. Mentality hoti na, like if you tell people that don't throw garbage outside your house, and they'll say, okay, we'll clean up our house, but we'll throw it mohalle ke bahar, because that doesn't belong to us. In the same way, and I mean, because women are treated almost like that, when it comes to girls, it is कि अच्छा इसको अच्छा खाना नहीं खिलाते या इसको अच्छे स्कूल में नहीं भेजते क्योंकि बेसिकली बेटे में इन्वेस्ट करना है. Now, how do we reach to the grassroots level of changing that mentality in normal people and parents?
I think what ma'am just spoke, because we are talking about educating girl child, which is extremely important, but I also think it's about educating the family members. Like she spoke, yeah. I mean, that's like we were talking that we are products of our family, like of the support that we received. Exactly, we're privileged that way. So I think that's very important. You're someone there to tell you that you can do it and encourage you, whether it's taking care of your health or it's just taking care of your education or just giving you moral support and emotional support, which everyone needs when you're growing up.
Like
that's extremely important.
Schools can have counseling.
Exactly.
Corporates, like you said, can have counselors who talk to the families of the people who are employed by you, and companies for that matter.
Yeah, I mean, I think companies. So, Vinita, if I could just get the final thoughts from you on all of these things can be done to spread the awareness, but anything else that you can think of specifically to tackle the problem of undernourished or malnourished children? And also, I have to say, mothers when they are pregnant, if they're not getting adequate nourishment at that time, again, the implications of that are massive.
Sure. So Vikram, I want to be very specific because this is not in general. I think there are very specific things that we can do. One is there are known and proven solutions to malnutrition, which have to do with access to food, access to the right kind of micronutrients. So for example, in India, we don't do large-scale food fortification, which is something that has proven to be beneficial all around the world. We did iodine fortification in salt, and we don't even talk about things like goiter. So we've got successful examples from around the world and with salt iodization in our own country. So large-scale food fortification. But malnutrition also has to be tackled in terms of access to potable drinking water, access to primary healthcare facilities, access to immunization, hygiene and sanitation, and all of this has to be done together. I do believe we have 2 or 3 golden opportunities with the new companies bill that says 2% of profit has to be devoted towards CSR activities. I think these are the kinds of initiatives, if we take them on very, very seriously, we will create a critical mass and a large scale to tackle. I want to go back to what Priyanka and Anushka said earlier about educating the larger system. We already have structures in place like the Anganwadi centers, the primary healthcare centers, factories, etc., where large numbers of people come. The education there should not just be restricted to the expecting mother or the adolescent girl. It should also include the men. The men, be they fathers or husbands or brothers or sons, they need to understand as much as the women need to understand, because I think the women are ready. They require the support of the larger family, the community, the society, and all of us. And I think if each of us were to say, how can I in my individual capacity make a difference, we will begin to see, we will begin to see the difference that we are seeking.
All right, ma'am. It's great having you with us. We are also, everyone can make a difference. Corporates can, the government can, and what we are trying today is to also tell, anybody watching this program, for 12,000 rupees, you can actually educate a girl. That does begin to make a difference. So
just 12,000 rupees, you can educate a girl for a year. So any one of you out there who want to make a contribution would make such a big difference to all of us.
I just want to add another thing to this.
Thank you.
Vinita Bali, thank you so much for having joined us.
Thank you so much, Vinita ma'am. Thank you for
Okay.
being here.
Thanks. Thank you.